So the AA syllabus and the AA exam, what can we expect in there? Firstly, I believe you all know that this exam, you can sit in any of the 4 sittings during the year. It's a session CB, it's not one on demand. And what you may not know though is that this exam has only 2 sections called A and B, unlike the other exams at that level, which have section C as well. Audit and assurance, our favorite subject, only has 2 sections in the exam. That means that the simplest types of objective testing questions are not included. The time we have to sit the exam is 3 hours. That's standard, like the same like with the other exams on that level. 10 minutes reading instructions as usual. You don't have to really read the instructions in advance if you are already familiar with them, which I believe you would be. The 3 hours are not running until those 10 minutes have passed, or until you just click start the exam. You know that you need only 50% to pass this exam, don't you? 50 out of 100 marks takes you there. But did you guys know also that audit and assurance is one of the subjects, if not the subject, with the lowest pass rate globally on that level? PM and AA are both in competition for that spot, right? But I'm not telling you this to scare you. I'm telling you this so you appreciate the challenge ahead of you and you put the effort in and you can make it through and be part of the happy people. So section A and section B are the ones we are facing in the exam. Section A is the one with the objective testing questions, so 30 marks we've got in there, and they come from 3 scenarios. Each one has 5 questions attached to it, and each question carries 2 marks. With those, as you know, it's either you answer it correctly and you get 2 marks, or you only, even if you make just one mistake where they're asking about the 2 options or anything like that, you get 0. So it's all or nothing. Okay, section B is the written section. That's the one where we find the written questions. And again, there's 3 of them, but they're longer, obviously, because they give us a total of 70 marks in section B. So the split is this: 1 question carries 30 marks and the other 2 carry 20 marks each. But don't you fear, there's not even one single requirement which can give you that many marks. Each of those 3 questions in section B will be split in parts A, B, C, and they will be carrying marks that will ultimately add up to 20 or 30 depending on the question. Now, the good news about section B, the written section, is that those 3 questions will be focusing on 3 main key topics. Not only on those, but most of the marks will come from those key topics. Now, the subject itself, audit and assurance, you have to appreciate is where we will learn how to audit the financial statements of a single company, which means we are not doing any group audits in audit and assurance. That is something you can do if you really enjoy this subject in the advanced version of it. What we need for that is to have some solid, basic financial accounting knowledge. So what you learned in paper FA or FFA, or the equivalent of that if you got exemption, is what you need. If you have passed, or if you're currently studying FR, financial reporting, that could be helpful, but you can do very well in AA even if you haven't got to that paper yet, so long as your basic financial accounting knowledge is there and it's healthy, it's good. We will learn some of the international standards of auditing. We call them ISAs. ISA, yeah? International Standards of Auditing. Don't confuse them with IAS, International Accounting Standards. IAS is for the preparation of financial statements, while ISA is for the audit of those to see if they've been prepared correctly, how we do it, okay? So we learn some, but not all the ISAs, because again, when we get to the advanced audit and assurance is where we learn more of those. And we will learn some very important principles ethical principles, which are important to us as professional accountants. We will also learn a little bit about corporate governance. We'll scratch the surface of this exciting topic. We won't go too deep into it. The syllabus itself is split into 5 areas, and it's got the employability and technology skills section added to it, but don't worry about those, because those you will demonstrate simply by using the ACCA platform test reach on which you would be sitting your exam, a computer-based exam. So nothing to get excited about. And out of those 5 areas, there's 3 of them, B, C and D, which we will get incredibly excited about. So let me tell you more about those 3 key topics. The first one is the topic of audit risk and the response of the auditor to those risks. This is related to the planning stage of the audit. And the second area is the topic of internal controls. That's the control systems of the company, which the company has in place in order to reduce the risk of bad things happening to it. And then the third area, the area on substantive procedures, that's the audit evidence one. This is where the auditor will be checking whether or not the financial statements are correct. Those 3 areas, we call them key areas, 3 out of the 5 which you just saw a few seconds ago, are so important because they give us roughly about 70% of the total marks in the exam. So out of 100, nearly 70% will come from those 3 topics, and those 3 topics are guaranteed. They're guaranteed to be there for that many marks. You probably are wondering what other topics we will learn. The other topics are the topic of internal audit, professional ethics. I mentioned professional ethics to you briefly, yeah? We'll learn a little bit about going concern and the implications on the audit as well. Corporate governance, scratching the surface, remember. Subsequent events that relate to the events after the reporting period you've learned in financial accounting. And we will learn about finalization stage of the audit and, of course, the reporting stage and the audit opinion that we can express as a result of the audit. So they're all very exciting and they will be tested as well in the exam. But some of them would be in section A with the objective testing. Some of them can feature for small number of marks in section B, and altogether they would account for roughly around 30% of the total marks. So nearly 70% of the total marks from those 3, and they're not all in section B, okay? Some of them will be in section A as well, and then about 30% coming from those additional topics. Now, one more thing to highlight to you guys at the beginning. Many of you come to your favorite subject thinking it's a theory paper because of the 70% of written marks. But that's not the case. It's only about 30% or so, roughly around 30% of the total marks in the exam that you can score just based on pure knowledge and demonstrating pure knowledge. Most of the marks, nearly 70% of those, will come from your ability to use that knowledge, from your understanding and your ability to apply it to practical situations from the scenarios that you've got in the exam. Yes. So how do you prepare? Well, very important, like for any exam that you're preparing for, is to take it seriously. And what would help you is to create a plan. I'll help you with that. I've got a study plan for you, as you know already. But you have to take it at upper level because each one of you is different. So you've got your own personal circumstances, your own personal commitments and availability. Make sure you fit your study around your life, and make sure you fit your life around your study as well for a short period of time. But have a plan and be organized so you can cover the things, not just waiting until it's nearer the exam to start studying, but you can cover everything from as early as possible and keep up with the course that we are running. If you keep up, it's going to be so much easier when you get to the revision stage, because you will have the knowledge and the skills and you will just need to polish them off, and come the exam, you can pass with ease. But do have a plan and try to stick to it as best as possible. Make your time for studying and don't only look for big chunks of time when you can study, because that's much harder to do. Find little chunks, not big chunks, like 10-15 minutes here, 20 minutes there, half an hour here and 10 minutes there. When you're commuting to work, maybe when you're taking a walk, you can listen to a video. Maybe you can do something in your lunch break, just practice writing an answer for 10 minutes. There are little bits and bobs you can do many times a day for short amount of time, and they all add up and help you in the end. Get into good habits, guys. Try to cut down distraction. Try not to allow less important or less urgent things to come in your way, because that will only mean that you have to take even longer until you pass this exam and can do bigger and better things later on. In the exam itself, try to be as efficient as possible and get as many marks as you can. As many marks for the limited time that you have. And don't wait until the exam to do that. Practice in your preparation in the same way that you would be doing the exam. Try to stay calm. Remember, you've worked really hard. That will pay off if you have followed my advice. Make sure that you pay attention to the little details, and that's especially important with objective testing, but also in the scenarios as well. Sometimes there will be a few things within the case that you're reading that if you miss, could mean you write a lot of stuff that could be correct in general, but not in those specific terms. So pay attention to detail and always answer the easiest things first. Don't start with anything difficult that can make you feel bad about it, that can consume too much time and compromise the rest of your performance. So enjoy the ride, guys. They say that anything we do willingly is easy, so make sure that you do have fun while studying. And let's get this audit and assurance exam out of the way.